Edward Green. Welcome to the all-new sports show presented by Roger G. Taylor and Associates. It's been a few weeks, but we are back for another plausibly live edition. We are going to get you caught up on all the conference play going on in our coverage area, including some big upsets on the way to a title. Of course, we'll be breaking down our game of the week, Rocky Mount versus Nash Central. We'll also, of course, have 60 seconds of soccer, another Todd Gurley update, and more coverage of our entire area. This is the all-new sports show. Let's get after it.
Dogs coming on a blitz, a nice pickup. Green gets rid of it and caught on the deflection. Put 6 on the board, Knight fans. That is a touchdown.
And it is caught by number 20, Malik Williams, and he breaks free. He's going. One man to beat. It's a touchdown.
Hey guys.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the All New Sports Show. This is a plausibly live edition of the All New Sports Show. So as always, I'm Wes Bradshaw.
And I'm Edward Green. Welcome all to the all-new sports show. We have a tremendous episode today. Of course, we're going to be breaking down Rocky Mount versus Nash Central, which was our game of the week. Also, plenty of surprises in store, not the least of which Southern Nash Pike. A little dicey. And of course,
us.
a very down in the dumps Todd Gurley update. But we do have a lot more great stuff, and hopefully, maybe a player of the week interview. We'll see. But we definitely have a play of the week to show you guys. But of course, if you guys want to get up with us, you can hit us up on the social media. Twitter at All New Sports Show. Of course, Facebook.com/All New Sports Show is our Facebook page. Lots of great updates there. Producer Des taking care of us on the social media with that. Of course, he's also posting pictures on Instagram, Instagram.com/All New Sports Show. If you want to check out any videos, including this exact episode, go to YouTube.com/The All New Sports Show. That's our official channel. If you want to email us, allnewsportshow@gmail.com. And of course, send your letters, send your parcels to 1701 Sunset Avenue, Suite 201, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, 27804. And of course, thanks to Roger G. Taylor and Associates for sponsoring the show, as well as everybody else you see on the bottom of the screen tonight.
That's right, folks. And as Ed said, we've got a big one coming up for you tonight. Conference action is underway. The Big East is already proving to be
Quite beast.
kind of what we thought it was. It's what we thought it was. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. If anyone goes undefeated, it's obviously going to be Hunt because that's just how it works.
Pretty much every year.
But once again this year, I'm going to predict that no one will go undefeated, and of course Hunt will go 5-0, win the whole thing.
Certainly.
But it was a wild time on Friday night, and folks, the wild time started in probably. Well, it was a wild game, just not maybe so much as in it's not a close game, where the other two games kind of came down to the wire. This was wild, just in the version that you didn't know if a fight was going to break out at any time.
Certainly.
Our game of the week this week, we traveled out to the Dog Pound Nash Central High School. We saw the Bulldogs of Nash Central host the Rocky Mount Griffons. It was homecoming, and the Griffons came and made themselves at home on Friday night. 42-0. They walk out of Nash Central winners. And Ed, you can almost say maybe it wasn't as close as the 42-0 score, but you could also make an argument that it was a little closer than the 42-0 score. And you could also make an argument that tempers flared and behavior was not at its best.
Certainly. A lot of penalties, especially on Rocky Mount. Something that they're going to have to really shore up. I know what you mean by when you say it could have been closer, especially after the way the first quarter played out, where it was 0-0. I mean, those 42 points were all scored after the first quarter by Rocky Mount, where they just couldn't get anything going. Hit the opening gun with 2 kickoffs out of bounds for Rocky Mount, back-to-back penalties on them, a couple more on the opening drive for Nash Central. I tell you what, this is a team that has a lot of talent, but a lot of question marks right now, and it's very bothersome. They could be the second best team in this conference. I don't know if they will ever achieve that.
At this point, they could be the best team in this conference. Yeah. Because obviously we felt that Fike was a step ahead of everybody, and that was proved wrong on Friday night. So Rocky Mount could be the best team in this conference on the field, but the problem is, are they going to be able to keep their composure at important moments.
Certainly, and part of that, of course, Josh Carter taking an unsportsmanlike penalty for jawing at a Nash Central defender. Coach Jason Battle, perhaps wanting to send a message, takes him out, inserts Forrest Bell, who's going to be our Telco Credit Union player of the game. And I tell you what, once he got in, that's when all the points started happening. He was actually responsible for the very first touchdown, running it in himself. And it just seemed like he brought a big stabilizing force. And I'm a guy who loves Josh Carter. I love the things he can do. We saw him air out a throw that was maybe a foot out of bounds for being a 45-yard gain on the opening drive. I really like Josh Carter, but he's going to have to keep his head if he's going to guide Rocky Mount to a title and maybe a playoff deep run.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. Forrest Bell came in. Like we said, he was our Telco Credit Union player of the game. The stats were not overwhelming. I believe he was 3 for 4, about 40 yards. Had a few nice little runs, scored the touchdown. But what he did, he came in, he stabilized the offense, which to that point had shown, as you said, had shown flashes of doing great things, but then just had some really boneheaded plays mixed in with it. That's what was really holding Rocky Mount back. And that's where I get to the point where it did not seem as close. It could have been worse.
Oh, certainly.
42-0.
And that was at the end of the third quarter.
Exactly. So basically, Rocky Mount scored all their points in the second and third quarter, 21 points a quarter. Then there was a running clock the entire fourth quarter, and Rocky Mount's backup offense was in the game. The Griffons came out, 3 flags on the, I'd say the first 4 plays, but 2 of them came actually on
kickoffs.
Single play. I guess however you want to look at it.
Yep.
Basically, the first 4 times that the ball was put in play, Rocky Mount got 3 penalties. And it didn't slow down much from there. Rocky Mount ended the night 11 penalties.
Over 100
I believe
yards.
130-some yards of penalty yardage. And here was my problem with it. A lot of them were personal fouls.
Yeah.
And those, to me, those are unexcusable. I mean, a late hit personal foul is one thing, a late hit or, roughing a quarterback, something like that. Those are one thing. But when you're getting personal fouls where the play's over and the guys are, you're splitting up and suddenly flags start running in because you're either, running your mouth. You're running your mouth. You've pushed somebody. You've done something stupid on a pile. Those are the ones that really bother you.
Yeah.
And, and if you want to look back at another good team, since we're at Nash Central, if you want to look back at another good team that was undone by dumb penalties, look no farther than 2012 version of Nash Central, which may have been the best team in the Big East that season, could have been the best 3A team in the East that season. And basically, in 2 losses to Hunt, penalties completely undid them.
Yeah, certainly. And if you talk about Nash Central, I feel really bad for them right now. We didn't pull many punches on the broadcast. I don't see it getting better. They looked anemic offensively. We heard about Hashawn Gaines coming out, making a statement, had 1 impact play all night, had a tackle for loss on a run play, broke through the line. That was really about it. Never a factor on offense. He was split out wide a few times, ran Wildcat a couple times, and that was about it there. And you mentioned running clock right after Rocky Mount scores at the end of the third quarter. They got fight this week. They could be facing back-to-back games where they're facing running clock. I don't see where it gets better.
Really, if you want to get into the offense, I don't see anyone. I mean, I don't see where they have anyone in the Big East that they should not be worried about a running clock the way they're playing right now. Obviously, Southern Nash put up a ton of points against Fike. They can put points on the board. Hunt can put points on the board. Northern Nash, not an offensive juggernaut, but if they get running downhill, they can put a lot of points on the board.
Nash Central's offense just in disarray right now.
Bad.
Pierce is a good quarterback. He's good. He could be better. He could be better with more weapons around him. He could grow better. But it's just not there right now, and that's. They don't have any dynamic skill players that we've seen at least. Khalil Macklin was there last year. He never really got going for them. A couple years ago, Jalen Hendricks was there, very dynamic quarterback. But since those guys left, there's just nothing.
It all starts on the offensive line.
Yeah.
That young. 2012 group, that offensive line was very strong. They gave Jalen Hendricks room to maneuver. They gave him time to roll out and throw the football. He had good playmakers around him. There are playmakers at Nash Central.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there are. Whatever you want to think, there are playmakers. That offensive line has just, the last 2 years, has been the weak point. And then the quarterback play just has not been good. And some of that can be attributed to the offensive line. Some of it, you say, got to get quarterback play. But that offensive line, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
You can only do so much in high school football. I mean, you can have all the, all-state players you want on the offensive side of the ball.
Certainly.
If they don't have any room to maneuver or any time to make anything happen, they're fighting an uphill battle.
It's going to be tough for them. And then their offense keeps putting the defense in bad positions. And the defense, which we thought could maybe keep them in a few games this year, looks like it's certainly regressed. I don't know if they've regressed because they're just not as talented as last year. I don't know if they've regressed because maybe, unfortunately, a little of the hope is quite frankly gone. A little of the fire is gone from that defense. They're just tired of being put in bad positions every game, and they're just getting run over now. And it's the one thing that Nash Central could have hung its hat on if that offense could have gotten going at all, and it hasn't. And to be honest, at this point, I don't know what Nash Central can do. I believe this will be 2 straight winless seasons for them coming up, assuming they go winless the rest of the Big East. I don't know where they go from here. I don't. There's a talent. There needs to be talent on both sides of the ball right now, and it's just not completely there.
That's right. They have the best. Talent-wise, they have the kid who's the best player in the area, Hushung Gaines.
But he's never really gotten to show it. Hey, we've seen him 3 times this year.
We have, yeah.
I'm not saying anything bad about the kid, but I've never been impressed by the 3 times I've seen him.
I agree with you.
Never made an impact.
He's obviously he's a physical marvel. He's a great-looking kid, 6'4",
Big,
220 pounds. He can run. He's very athletic. That's evident. I think once you get him into a college environment where everything is not geared to him having to do everything, it's going to help him, obviously. But right now, it's complete disarray over there. The best player, and I said it and I meant it. I meant it wholeheartedly. The MVP for Nash Central thus far this year, to me, is Dylan Hodges.
Certainly.
Dylan Hodges, sophomore linebacker / punter. I mean, the kid's done everything you've asked him. Every time we see him, he does everything you ask him. I mean, he gets them out of so many short field situations with his punting. It's not funny. And then as a linebacker, he's all over the field.
Yeah.
He's got a nose for the ball. He is a good, hard-nosed player. That's a kid that you're building your defense around for the next 2 years. It's just you've got to get more kids that have his attitude and his will to basically kill himself to get to the football.
Yeah.
That's what you got to have. You got to have 11 guys who are willing to do that. Right now, I know they have one. Once again, Hushung Gaines, fantastic talent. And, of course, we've seen a small sample. We've seen 3 games this year.
And he's not surrounded by that much. Like you said, he's having to carry the load. But really, you'd expect more flashes of brilliance from him than we've seen. I would expect even on the team he's currently playing on and the way they're going, I would expect to see the one flash we saw against Rocky Mount Friday night. I would still expect to see that maybe 3 times a game, and we didn't.
Nope.
And that's a little worrisome. That doesn't mean he can't go to college next year and be a really good player. But it is a flag, I would say.
And I think he's a redshirt candidate kid wherever he goes because he's going to go to a big program. It's obviously it's not he's not walking into an FCS an FCS or Division II where he's going to walk around the field and be the main attraction. I think he's a redshirt caliber candidate kid, but I think he's a kid who can really grow into it schematically. They've got to figure out what they want to do with him collegiately. I just think schematically, I don't think Nash Central's ever really figured out what they want to do with him.
I think the same thing happened to Khalil Macklin.
Well, I mean, just defensively, his hands on the ground on the right side of the line every play. A kid as athletic as him, maybe take his hand off the ground. Maybe move him into a linebacker role. Maybe let him roam a little bit. Give him a little bit of freedom. But when you just put his hand down the ground, I mean, when Peppers played Southern Nash, Peppers would have his hand on the ground. He'd switch sides. He'd drop back. He'd line up on the outside of the linebacker. He'd line up on the outside of another end.
Certainly.
He'd line up standing up. He'd do a lot of different things, and he could dominate. Gaines actually somewhat reminds me of Peppers in a weird way. I don't think he's not the athletic marvel freak that Peppers was. I'm not saying Gaines is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft in 3-4 years, but Peppers was a guy who could absolutely take over a game when he wanted to, but there were a lot of times you go to a Southern Nash game and you'd be like, I mean, I saw him, but I didn't see him do anything. And that's kind of where Gaines is coming from. Now, some of it is schematic. Teams, they are going to plan to stay away from you. You just got to figure out a way to overcome that and do some things. But taking another look at it, let's move over a little bit and talk about the Rocky Mountain defense.
Yeah,
which,
very good job.
yes, Nash Central having all kinds of problems offensively, but you still going to go and perform. And the
They shut 'em down.
Griffons pitched their third shutout of the season.
Even when their offense was struggling, even when it was nothing at the end of the first quarter, we never really had an idea that Nash Central's offense could get them in the game. It looked like Rocky Mount's defense. It might be something like 10-3, kind of like it was last year in a very low-scoring game.
Yeah.
But we knew after that first quarter, certainly their defense was at least going to go out there and do the job. They might still commit some really stupid penalties, but they're really going to go out there and physically dominate. They're so athletic. They're so fast. They just swarm around, and they are just really, really, really good. Again, it's just, can they keep their heads?
Well, Rocky Mountain, they have a good blend this year of size and speed. In the past, it's kind of been one or the other for Rocky Mountain. A lot of times it's been speed. When Rocky Mountain has had size defensively, the whole years, really good things happen. And a lot of that is being in the weight room, getting the size yourself. Yes, it's nice to have a 6'3", 290-pound kid just walk out on the field one day. But when you don't have those coming through the pipe all the time, you've got to make them. You've got to make them in the weight room. Rocky Mountain, they got away from that for a while after Holt left. They're getting it back now where you're seeing the conditioning, you're seeing the just the physical standing of the Griffons is getting back to what you kind of expect to see from that school.
And that's something we hope can continue. Obviously, Jason Battle has come in and done some really, really great things. I know it feels like I'm going to harp on this the entire segment. It's got to start with him, though, with the penalties. It's got to start, and it looks like that's the message he was trying to send again to Josh Carter. But that's got to be on him. And I'm not saying he's lost control of the team or anything like that. No. We're not going that far. It's just he does. It does have to start with him, though, and he does have to rein these guys in. It broke them against Southwest Edgecombe.
Exactly. Against
a better team. They might have lost that game against a better team because of all the penalties they commit, or it would have certainly been very, very close.
I think anybody else in the Big East, they probably lose that game too.
Yeah.
They pick the week if they're going to do it. If it's going to be a 1 week thing, they did it the right week.
Yes.
Because whatever you want to say, Nash Central is just overmatched right now on a lot of fronts. But against Fike, against Hunt, against Southern, most likely against Northern, that's not going to fly, and you're going to get beaten. So for Rocky Mountain, right now, the easy part for Rocky Mountain is out of the way.
Yep.
However
now
you want to say it, not to say they were looking at Nash Central as their easy game, but you played your lesser opponent in the conference. You played them first. You took care of business exactly like you were supposed to. Now the real march starts for Rocky Mountain. We're going to know in 4 weeks, was this Rocky Mountain team, are they a contender or were they a pretender to the throne?
You know what? We might know in 2 weeks.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
I believe this coming up week they have.
It should be Fike or Hunt and Southern, I believe, in back-to-backs.
No, Hunt and Fike back-to-back. Because in 2 weeks we will be at that Fike game.
That's right.
And that's going to be amazing. So in 2 weeks we will most likely know how this team's going to go.
Oh yeah, because two losses is probably going to knock you out of Big East contention this year. I still think everybody's going to end up with a loss. 2 could knock you out, or two could have you in the discussion. But like you said, we'll know. And of course, end of the season, they've got a big rivalry game with Northern Nash.
That game could be huge for themselves.
It's huge no matter what. Yeah. But yes, there seems to be a trend, and has been for a long time. One's good, one's bad, or they're both bad.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's either Rocky Mountain's good, Northern's bad, Northern's good, Rocky Mountain's bad, or we both stink.
Yeah. And this year,
as was the case when I played my senior year, we both stunk.
This year, they're both look to be really, really good. We'll get to it later. Northern suffering a really heartbreaking loss for the second straight year to Hunt.
That's right.
That's nothing to be ashamed of. They just came off 3 straight games coming out of non-con where they only gave up 6 total points. So
a step up in competition.
True.
Without a doubt, it was a step up in competition.
But
we'll get onto that a little.
But this is
later.
a much better Northern team.
I agree.
That last game could either be for playoff seeding for Northern, maybe now that they are unfortunately already 0-1. Could be for a playoff spot. Big game either way.
And if it gets really crazy, you never know. It could be for a conference title last day of the
be.
year.
Sure.
I'm not willing to put my money on that yet, but
Never know.
you never do know. You never do know. So for the Griffons, they moved to 5-2 on the season. They're now 1-0 in Big East play. They sit because we go by point differential.
Yes.
We go by
Hey,
goals
number
scored.
one.
We go by goals scored, and Rocky Mount right now number one, the
Yeah.
plus 42 in the
Yes.
points scored
Yes.
department. That's how Ed and I do it. I don't know how anybody else wants to do it.
Not like that.
Probably not like that. But Rocky Mount does sit at least in a three-way tie atop the conference. Nash Central going to 0-7 on the season, 0-1 in conference. We'll have to keep up with that as it goes. 4 more weeks of the season left for Nash Central unless they can turn a miraculous turnaround. Their playoff dreams are all but dead at this point. And we'll just kind of have to see how that goes as we go forward.
Certainly. But now,
Speaking of dreams being shattered,
speaking of point differentials,
let's talk about England. Oh, God. They weren't even shattered. It was just terrible.
but you know what that means, folks. It's time for an early edition of your very favorite segment of our entire show, your favorite segment of your entire week. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for 60 seconds of soccer. Yeah.
The team who came back from the dead.
Suboptimal at its finest.
More than a bit. All right. Are you
I
ready?
really love Suboptimal. Check out the podcast.
Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
Are you depressed on yours?
Not really.
I'll start and you can bring them up at the end.
All right. Good.
Has anyone out there ever heard of Estonia? Okay, glad you have. Apparently now
great
they are
place.
in England's group
Yeah.
in Euro. And England had to get a 72nd minute Wayne Rooney free kick that was deflected to go in today for a 1-0 win. Now I know how NC State fans feel.
They actually lost.
I'll just leave it at that. Your turn.
I believe you thought I was going to talk about the USMNT.
Sure.
I was going to mention it. 1-1 draw against Ecuador in Landon Donovan's final game as a member of the U.S. men's national team. But no, Wes Bradshaw, I want to mention something else in Euro qualifying. Something that hadn't happened in 19 years.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't know if you had the one that hadn't happened ever.
no.
Go right ahead.
Manuel Neuer, uncharacteristically giving up 2 goals. Poland finally gets revenge.
Oh, yes.
Poland 2, Germany 0.
Well, you said 19 years. That's more like all time. It's just they had played 19 times.
There you go. That's what it was.
That was what it was. Oh, we were on the right page then.
Yeah.
As I immediately tweeted Nick Petrovich,
Yeah.
revenge.
Yes.
Revenge for the winter of 39.
Yep. Yeah.
All these years, the Poles have waited for their revenge.
Oh, they finally got it.
Nick Petrovich and Coach K are thrilled.
Yeah, we talked about that. You did not think they would do it. We talked about it when we had Nick on the podcast. You did not think Poland would beat Germany.
I don't think anyone thought Poland would beat Germany. That
True.
includes the Polish Nick Petrovich.
Yeah.
That includes everyone who's a Poland fan and then they beat Germany.
True that.
Why? Because there was no precedent of them ever beating Germany.
Now there is.
I mean, it's like us beating Sports Center one-on-one in the rankings.
Are we not? There's no Sports Center right now.
There's no one to tell us any different.
Apparently somebody's trying to.
I don't know what that is, but I love it. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we
Yes.
come back, we're going to have Jimmy Lewis from the Wilson Times. We're going to break down Wilson County Friday night. It was a huge night, especially in Big East playing Wilson County. We're going to bring you that. We got Bishop's Corner coming up. Lots more to come. We'll be right back with more of the All New Sports Show brought to you each and every week by Roger G. Taylor and Associates, WHIG TV.
The new place is perfect, or at least it will be, with a little help from Dex. In the book or at DexKnows.com. Dex can help you get results fast and deliver the best local advice, so you can get it done right here, right now.
We should do this more often.
Dex, results for the here and now.
Good day, Eastern Carolina. It's Mike Keffer at Mike Keffer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on the 301 bypass between Rocky Mount and Wilson. I'm a truck driving man. The Great American Drive event is happening on all new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram trucks. It's hunting season. No better time to trade up to a new Ram, whether you prefer gas-sipping 6-cylinder, Hemi, Eco Diesel, or heavy-duty Rocky Mount built Cummins diesel. Ram truck is the new dog on the hunt. Hunt one up in Rocky Mount at 855 by Keffer or online at mikekeffer.com.
Thank God nobody heard that.
And folks, we welcome you back to the All New Sports Show, brought to you
Yes.
each and every week by Roger G. Taylor Associates. I'm Wes Bradshaw. He's Ed Green. And folks, we are joined now on the phone, as we are every
Otherish
now and then, every otherish week, by our colleague from the Wilson Times, Mr. Jimmy Lewis. And folks, Jimmy is going to take us on the tour of what was a wild Friday night of Wilson County football. Jimmy, we are going to start. There were two huge games. We're going to go with the shocker of the night. Since you were there, you're going to give us a first-hand account of it as the Golden Demons of Fike.
With the team we had already crowned champions, turns out for right now that at least they are paper champions.
It is a false table.
Very false table. They go down 42-35 at home to Southern Nash. Jimmy, we just saw this team play Tarboro last week, and while they looked pretty good offensively, I don't think anybody realistically saw this coming.
No, we really didn't coming in. I thought it was going to be a competitive game either way, especially if Southern Nash could hold on to the football and not beat themselves. But I thought Mike would find a way to keep it going, and they would find a way to move to 7-0 and 2-0 in the Big East. But as you obviously saw, that's why they play the games. Just one quick stat to throw out there before we get any further. Southern Nash ran for 354 yards in this game against Fike. Entering play, Fike had given up 623 yards on the ground through 6 games. So that's just a test of the work that Southern Nash did in its double wing offense. And if they're not putting the ball on the ground, it has always been very, very difficult to stop. And it certainly was for Fike this past week.
Well, Jimmy, another stat that jumps out at me. For Fike, 5 fumbles, 3 of them lost. You can say what you want. We knew it was a good Southern team. You're not going to be many teams in the Big East if you fumble it 3 times and also have an interception. So 4 turnovers for Fike, and yet still with a late touchdown run is what gives Southern Nash the win.
Yeah, it does seem like there were 2 separate games going on. Going back to Fike's 4 turnovers, yeah, absolutely. Turn the ball over against any good team is going to be a recipe for disaster. But in Fike's case, they really put themselves in an early hole with the turnovers. But they came back to lead at halftime and took leads of 28-14 and 35-28 in the second half. But they just couldn't get the defenses when they needed them. But going back to where I thought it was 2 different games, with 7:33 left in the game, there was a drop of rain anywhere in sight throughout the game. And once Southern Nash goes in to tie the game, the skies just completely open up. It's like a different football game out there. I don't want to overstate that by any way, because obviously you play football in the rain.
Sure.
But once that game was tied at 35, I mean, the skies just opened up. It just seemed ominous, like something was going to happen, like we saw. And once that rain came down, Fike had a very tough time stopping him, and the score could have very well been 49-55 for a final had Jaquay Mitchell not fumbled through the end zone at the 1-yard line to give Fike one more opportunity.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, we look at this. It almost was 2 games. Southern Nash scores first 14 in the first quarter. Fike comes right back and scores 21 in the second. So you think, okay, maybe they have something going. And then Fike even scores to open the third. So at that point, 28-14, with just about 20 minutes left in the game. At that point, did you think Fike was good to go? And what do we think now about Fike's title chances moving forward?
Well, the one thing that you have to take into account now, this loss happened at the absolute worst possible time for Fike. I say that because you're a top 10 team in the state. You lose your first game to go into 6-1. While I still believe that the Big East champion will have one loss in conference, you no longer control your own destiny for the Big East championship if you're Fike. That's not a fun position to be in, and depending on how it shakes out, if you end up finishing second in the conference, you might have 2 losses on your resume at the end. Who knows? But you could very well end up going on the road for the playoffs because North Carolina High School Athletic Association seating rules do not let you drop a conference game if you lose it.
And you have to look no further than Fike last season to see what happens when you don't win your conference. Okay, so we get stunned over in Stanhope. Man, we just had a good old-fashioned fight on our hands down at the jungle. Randy Raber making his long-awaited return. I'm the sick one, remember?
The box score has me confused.
It's Randy Raber making his long-awaited return to Hunt High School on Friday night, and he walks out with a loss to his protege, Stevie Hennett.
Second straight year.
Yeah, he walks out with a loss, and it's Hunt's 18th straight victory in Big East play. And here with Big East play starting, Hunt stumbles through the non-conference. It's probably not what they want in the one-loss column, but here you go. Big East play starts, and who started off with a win? It's the Hunt Warriors doing what they usually do in conference play, but this was a hard-fought win for them, 31-27. They had several closely contested games last year en route to win the championship with a 5-0 record, and this is something Hunt is comfortable with, and they're content to grind out these games. You're thinking to yourself, when's the ball going to bounce the other way? When is Hunt going to be on the other end of one of these close games in the Big East? But as of right now, it hasn't happened, and the Warriors came out there and they got a taste of their own medicine with Randy Raper Power Eye football, but they, for lack of a better word, they bowed their necks and they got it done.
Hunt just so good at playing tight games, very tight. Just look at the numbers here. Northern outrushes Hunt by 30 yards, also outpasses them by over 100. Combined for Northern, they rack up over 330 yards on the ground and in the air. Jimmy, I mean, this is kind of insane that they were able to outgain Hunt by this much. Also had 11 more first downs. Hunt only had 7 first downs for the entire game, and it's still a 4-point win for the Warriors.
Yeah, it's just a testament to what Randy Raper is doing over there at Northern Nash. I mean, Randy Raper hasn't lost anywhere he's gone, and he's not about to start at Northern Nash. I think, despite the loss, I think Randy Raper's bunch has established himself as definitely a contender in this conference, and they will definitely give Southern Nash and Brian Foster all they want down in Death Valley next week.
It's going to be fun. We'll be at that game.
And looking ahead for Hunt, a tough Northern Nash team. Well, now you're getting another very tough team coming in, but a completely different look. You're getting more of that wide-open style from Rocky Mount coming in next week. What's your early look at Griffin's Warriors, which was a good game last year?
It certainly was. That was the game last year I had pegged for Hunt's first loss in Big East play after however many. But that was kind of the game where Hunt, quarterback Jacob Williamson really took it upon himself to take his ownership of that team and that offense to another level. If you guys recall,
right.
He broke off on an 81-yard run to really put that game away last year. And I really expect more of the same coming in this time. I expect a close game that will be decided in the fourth quarter, but until Hunt falls on the wrong side of one of these tight games, I mean, it's very difficult to bet against them.
Yep. Absolutely right. A team you could put a good bet on the other night, and they probably went out and covered everything you need them to cover. We'll just talk about them real quick. Bettingfield gets back to their winning ways after a bye week, a 41-6 win over North Johnston. For the Bruins, is it just a case of just getting back on their feet after playing some tough opponents?
Yeah, very much so. Opening Eastern Plains Conference play, like you said, with the 41-6 win over North Johnston. Kavaje Ellis really comes out, and why people continue to doubt Kavaje Ellis, but I mean, four touchdown passes, one run against an undermanned squad in North Johnston. But I think more so than Ellis's performance, important for Bedingfield was the reemergence of receiver Miguel Brown, the 6'5" wideout. In the absence of J.D. Dixon, who's been lost for the season during their opening game win over Green Central. They've had Miguel step up, but then he kind of took a step back. I think he was lacking a little bit of confidence, if you will, read Tom's story all the way through. But Miguel really came back and asserted himself against Bedingfield, and that's really what the Bruins are going to need if they're going to make some noise in this EPC schedule. They go to North Pitt next week, which is been a house of horrors for them here in the recent past, but stern tests with Farmville Central and Washington still remain in that conference. So Bedingfield's destiny has yet to be determined.
All right. Well, we look forward to another fun week next week. Of course, we look forward to Hunt Rocky Mount. Fike, I guess you can say coming off a loss.
They're playing.
If you've got to go somewhere, if you've got to play somebody, probably the best they could ask for, they host Nash Central next week. And we just talked about Bedingfield. So another big week of Wilson County football coming up. Jimmy, have a good one, man, and enjoy your Friday night.
All right, take care.
Talk to you, brother.
Thanks.
All right.
Jimmy Lewis, Wilson Times, big thanks to him for hopping in with us. And now, Ed, we're doing things a little out of order tonight, but we're not so much worried about that, folks, because we're still bringing you the hard-hitting analysis that you thrive to see
You're
from
still
us.
watching, so
We hope.
you can re-edit this yourself if you want to put it in a normal order.
Absolutely.
I'm not certainly going to do it
If you
for
have the skills. All right, folks, it is now time. This week we did not have a game to do. For good reason. They were on bye.
They were on the road.
They were on the road. Oh, bye was... Okay, I'm not worried about
This coming up
what-
week, I believe they're in the bye.
Maybe that's it. Because I don't pay attention that much.
It's fine.
Anyway, folks, it is now time for Bishop's Corner. We're going to take you around the athletic program at our local college that we love to love,
Love.
and that is the Battling Bishops of North Carolina Wesleyan. Ed, why don't you tell us about the last week of Wesleyan?
Some big games coming down the pipe on Friday. Unfortunately, Wesleyan's women's volleyball team suffered a loss at Guilford, 3-2. Women's cross country, however, on Saturday had a big second-place finish at the University of Mount Olive in a 5K duel. Good on them for that. Wesleyan's football team getting a big win at LaGrange this Saturday, 48-21. Dustin Midget tosses a record 6 touchdown passes at LaGrange.
I guess we had a quarterback controversy.
I mentioned it on the broadcast last week, and in fact, if you're watching the actual All New Sports Show live, you're seeing the game from last week. Yeah, I mentioned it in our post game. Just saying, Dustin. Men's soccer also played. They lose 4-1 at home to Covenant, and women were also supposed to play. Unfortunately, they got rained out, it looks like, also against Covenant. Coming up on your calendar this week of Wesleyan sports look like this. Coming up on the 15th, which is Wednesday, there'll be women's soccer at 4 p.m. at home where they take on Mary Baldwin. Also, Mary Baldwin will be bringing their women's volleyball team to play at 4 o'clock as well. On the 18th, which is Saturday, Wesleyan will be traveling to Raleigh to play Maryville in what's being listed as a home match, but that'll be at noon for you. Also on the 18th, men's soccer will be traveling to William Peace where they play at 10:30, and women's volleyball will have another match on Saturday against Covenant. Your standings look like this. Football, Wesleyan now top the table, 3-1, as they are tied with Maryville, Huntingdon, and Christopher Newport, all 3-1. If we look to men's soccer right now, 5-2. That's good for third place in USA South. Women's volleyball, sort of near the bottom. They are 3-7 conference play, 4-15 overall. And I believe women's cross country was also a thing.
Apparently, yes.
Which they aren't listed as the standings for, so we'll just keep going from there. And that's it. So that's where our teams for Battling Bishops stand right now. So go support Battling Bishops, and of course become part of the BBC.
Yep. Then we ain't talking no Brit talk.
No.
So you tell me another big week from Midget. Okay.
Just leave it at
I'm gonna not make this a running joke. All right, folks. That is this week's edition of Bishop's Corner. We're still a couple of weeks out before we head out to do some more Bishop football, but I do love seeing that they are getting things turned around at Wesleyan, and putting a good football team on the field. Certainly. All right, folks, take another quick commercial break. That's right, folks. 2 commercial breaks.
We really
for
got to pay
tonight.
the sponsors.
Yes, we do. When we come back, folks, we're going to have Josh Wallfish from the Rocky Mountain Telegram. We're going to talk about Edgecombe County football, maybe a little more Nash County football as well. We have our Krispy Kreme hot play of the week.
Very nice.
Very
Tasty.
nice. Oh, the light's going to go bing. You're going to have a great play coming up. We are looking to have a player interview tonight with our Telco Credit Union player of the game. He's got to get off work first, though. But we're going to talk to him. We're going to give you a preview next week and possibly the saddest Todd Gurley update of all time. So anyway, let's take that quick commercial break. We'll be back with more of the All New Sports Show brought to you by Roger G. Taylor and Associates here on WHIG TV.
The new place is perfect, or at least it will be, with a little help from Dex. In the book or at DexKnows.com. Dex can help you get results fast and deliver the best local advice, so you can get it done right here, right now.
We should do this more often.
Dex, results for the here and now.
Good day, Eastern Carolina. It's Mike Keffer at Mike Keffer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on the 301 bypass between Rocky Mount and Wilson. I'm a truck driving man. The Great American Drive event is happening on all new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram trucks. It's hunting season. No better time to trade up to a new Ram, whether you prefer gas-sipping 6-cylinder, Hemi, Eco Diesel, or heavy-duty Rocky Mount built Cummins diesel. Ram truck is the new dog on the hunt. Hunt one up in Rocky Mount at 855 by Keffer or online at mikekeffer.com.
And welcome back to the All New Sports Show, brought to you each and every week by Roger G. Taylor and Associates. More than halfway through the show, I'm still Wes Bradshaw, and he's still Edward Green, and we're still happy to be here with you. And now,
We're
for
joined
more
by
fun.
we're joined by Josh Wallfish, Rocky Mountain Telegram sports writer. He is joining us on the phone. Josh, what is up?
Not much. How are you guys today?
We're doing good. We're just trying to make it through another sports show, and we got some teams we need to talk about making it through another season. Where do we want to start?
Well, let's start where Josh was on Friday
All right.
night. Had a big 1A battle.
Yes, it did.
Only 3 1A teams in our area, so when 2 of them hook up, you know it's a big one. Rocky Mount Prep is a program that right now, really, they're looking for some respect. I think that's the biggest thing right now. They're looking for some respect. They figured out a way to win a few football games a year. Schedule Kit Prep. But it's a program that slowly they're taking steps forward. And a program right now that the closest they can compare themselves to in this area is North Edgecombe. North Edgecombe, a traditional 1A power here in Eastern North Carolina. They've kind of come back to the crowd in the last decade or so. But they as well are starting to move forward. So when these two mix it up, it's a football game. It's some emotion in it. You know, obviously these are kids who they do know each other because they live around each other. And they hooked up on Friday night, Rocky Mount Prep and North Edgecombe.
And Josh, there were some familiar
right.
faces on the sideline for both teams.
Yes, no, obviously Coach Ward had been at North Edgecombe for quite a bit of time before taking the job with the Jaguars. And you talk about a team looking for respect. I think Rocky Mount Prep slowly started to build that with performances like Friday night. They did. The score is going to say 42-18 in favor of the Warriors, but that game was a lot closer. In fact, Rocky Mount Prep did a really good job at establishing the run early and again late. But again, the difference between these two teams is going to be the size, it's going to be the experience, it's going to be the depth, and that clearly showed itself on Friday night. When North Edgecomb's defense was able to be in the right gaps, Rocky Mount Prep had a difficult time establishing that run and really getting their offense flowing. And on the flip side, defensively, the Jaguars were just overmatched by that massive offensive line that North Edgecombe possesses, and Antoine Pittman had another excellent game for the Warriors.
And Josh, now that you've gotten a chance to really see North Edgecombe, granted it was against Rocky Mount Prep, although maybe improving a little bit Rocky Mount Prep team, is this North Edgecombe team one that can maybe vie to finish top 2, top 3 in their conference?
It's funny. I posed that question to Coach Parrish right before when I was talking before the game, and he mentioned that yes, Tarboro and Riverside are probably worse than they were last year, and that maybe opens things up for North Edgecombe. But they're still going to be, those two schools are still not going to be any pushovers. In reality, North Edgecombe has a lot of things they need to fix, particularly defensively.
Gotcha.
If they're going to have a chance to really compete in the conference, because even though they limited Rocky Mount Prep to 18 points, they were gashed on the ground, missing gaps, particularly early and, as I mentioned, late in the game. And more importantly, they failed numerous times to judge the snap count. They were called for offsides on five different occasions, and that's something that they're going to need to clean up if they're going to have any chance at really continuing to challenge your Tarboro or Riverside.
And Josh, you mentioned another team in that 1A conference that had also a big win on Friday night. Tarboro 49, South Creek 14. Tarboro kind of scuffling a little bit this year, playing that really tough schedule. True. But they now move to 4-3 on the season and 1-0 in conference play, to which it mentions in the paper that Tarboro coach and our personal hero, Jeff Craddock, called it refreshing.
Oh boy, it is the exact game that Tarboro needed after the start they had to the season. They played a complete game. The offense was working, the defense was working, and it was great to see that happen for one game. Now let's see what happens next week.
Very true.
Obviously, they have Rocky Mount Prep next week, so maybe that won't be the biggest challenge for them. But the key for them is just be consistent.
Yeah.
If they go, from beating South Creek 49-14 to all of a sudden being tied with Rocky Mount Prep at halftime, even if that game ends, in Tarbo's favor, which it, almost assuredly will, there are going to be issues. So as long as they can continue to show consistency as the Two Rivers season continues, then I think that they could put themselves as a dark horse to maybe get far into the playoffs because they have that experience, because at the end of the day they are still Tarboro. But we still need to see the consistency from them.
And something I want to just say on the Tarboro matter for the moment, it's been a difficult couple of weeks around Tarboro football in general. The Telegram did write an article this week, talking about, Jeff Craddock saying, it's not really the same environment maybe this year that it's been in the last 5-6 seasons, that he's having some real challenges that he's having to deal with. Couple that with what we'll talk about a little later, the Todd Gurley incident, which not only has, stunned Tarboro, Edgecombe, and Nash County, but obviously the entire nation.
Yes.
It was a tough week for Tarboro, and they really could have gone into that game hanging their heads thinking, well, everybody's against us. I give them a lot of credit for coming out and just getting their job done against South Creek.
Certainly. And Josh, let's finish up our look at our area with a game that, we talked about two kind of blowouts. Here's a close game for a team that had been blowing out everybody. It's Rocky Mount Academy 59, Arundel Parrott 42. This was one of the two teams you could maybe see towards the end of Academy's schedule, giving them trouble, them and Southampton. Very good job by Rocky Mount Academy to break this test.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and something we talked about a lot in the newsroom was they had really gone a month without their starters playing the full game.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just obliterating teams so badly in the first quarter that Coach Holt really had no other choice but to play his backups in JV squad in the second half. And there was the questions of, okay, what happens when it gets to the fourth quarter and it's a tight game? Are these first-team players going to have that stamina and that endurance to fight it out? And clearly they showed that they can do that. Now, Coach Holt admitted there were some cramps and there were some other issues that come with not playing a full game in a month and a half. But the Eagles really looked impressive in terms of putting the pressure on Parrott's defense and really forcing them to stop the dynamic weapons that Rocky Mount Academy possesses. And so that bodes well for them facing Southampton on Friday.
Certainly.
And, of course, Southampton, the team they defeated for a state championship a season ago. BW Holt kind of having maybe some of the problems that, say, Jeff Craddock had last year at Tarboro, where, now obviously he couldn't schedule that tough of a non-conference, but they went through their conference season. They just obliterated everyone. And then by the time, when they got to the playoffs, they just somewhat lacked a little bit of sharpness. Yeah. What could really be scary is that Rocky Mount Academy could have used this week to get back that sharpness. And next week, probably their biggest test of the season, Southampton. That could be an absolute barn burner of a football game.
The only difference between them and Tarboro is Rocky Mount Academy in the playoffs will basically play everybody they've already played this year.
True. Hey, that means everybody's seen them once.
True, very true.
However you want to put that.
All right, Josh, also just quickly to wrap up here, Southwest Edgecombe getting a big 51-21 win to open up their play in conference against North.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Cougars are probably, arguably the second best team in the area right now, obviously up there with Southern Nash. They've been playing some great football over the past couple of weeks. And most importantly for the Cougars, Marcus Williams is healthy. And that's going to make a huge difference. It's going to take a lot of pressure off Devontrell Hyman. It's going to make teams guess a little bit more in terms of whether they're going to go with the power of Hyman up the middle or use some of that speed that Williams possesses on the outside. And so if you can keep those defenses guessing as to which one of those running backs, and you throw in Barry Smith, who also had 100 yards on Friday night, that's a trio of running backs that can really take Southwest Edgecombe very far as the conference season progresses.
And then don't forget they've got a quarterback who can throw it a little bit, and they've got a really good receiver in Norwood who can go up and catch it. I think right now, as you mentioned, along with Southern Nash, they are the two hottest teams in our area right now. Obviously, barring Rocky Mount Academy, I can't really put Rocky Mount Academy in that category with everyone, just based on what they're doing. But right now, Southwest Edgecombe, who I believe, did I pick them? I picked them second, I believe, in that conference this year.
Did you? Maybe.
I think I picked Bedingfield to win, Southwest to finish second. And that, my friend, is a brutal Eastern Plains Conference right now. You have an undefeated Farmville Central. Of course, you've got Washington. Then you've got Bedingfield, and you've got Southwest Edgecombe right there. It is going to be a dogfight to try to come out of that conference this year. All right, Josh, thank you so much for hopping on with us tonight. We look forward to talking to you again soon, and have a great week and a great Friday night coming up.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh Wallfish from the Rocky Mount Telegram. Big thanks to him. And now, folks,
Give me a tough one.
Time to tackle this issue, which no one likes to hear, no one wants to hear about. Everyone's heard everybody's side of the story, so we'll give you ours. Let us go to this week's. We do it every week, so we're going to keep it up. This is our Todd Gurley update.
Let's get it out of the way. Georgia somehow wins against Missouri on the road, 34-0.
I don't think you somehow win when you hang a 34-0 on somebody. Georgia is actually a good football team, other than just
Well, here's
Todd
the thing.
Gurley.
They didn't have their best player, and Matty Mock is a very good quarterback who exposes basically what is Georgia's one true weakness, a very bad defensive secondary.
And they shut him out.
And they shut him out, so somehow they did it. Very good on them.
Of course, I do understand there's suddenly a new walk-on at Georgia named Bosch Worley.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Got a mustache. Other than that, looks like Todd. Anyway, Todd Gurley, of course, unless you are living under a rock, I just figure if you're watching this show and you're interested in keeping on, you probably know that, of course, Todd Gurley has been right now is being indefinitely suspended by the University of Georgia pending NCAA investigation into accusations of
signing and profiteering off your jersey and likeness.
Profiting off his likeness.
No for the NCAA, despite the fact that Georgia and the NCAA don't mind putting up number 3 Georgia jerseys and selling them for $100 a pop in their online and retail stores.
Profiting off of his
likeness. Yeah.
But anyway,
no double standard.
Of course, it has also come out that it's kind of interesting the whistleblower on this whole thing. Has kind of come to the light since Thursday when all this started to break. He's a Florida fan. Shocker. And B, the apparent reason that he blew the whistle, I still think it has more to do maybe with being a Florida fan, is because he felt betrayed by Todd Gurley because apparently Todd Gurley did this for other dealers as well, which
no.
drove down his prices.
Oh no.
Sorry,
scumbag.
Yeah, sorry, scumbag. You suck, and you've ruined the chance for the Heisman World Trophy to sit on this very desk.
And let's also remember, Johnny Manziel did the exact same thing and got 1 half suspended.
Well, of course, my response to that, my reply, not that anything is different on Manziel's issue. The problem was Manziel's issue came out in June.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Todd's came out 48 hours before before the middle of their season, was going on.
If only he had stolen crab legs or shot a BB gun or other things that certain quarterbacks in the state of Florida do.
Or allegedly do. So, of course, that being Treon Harris.
Or the other one.
Or
the other court.
Or last year's Heisman Trophy.
Plus, I'm sure somebody in Miami's done something stupid too. I'm sure.
Shh. Not at Miami. We're a bastion of holiness. Anyway, though, folks, for the time being, unfortunately, there will be no Todd Gurley. We will still give you a weekly Todd Gurley update as much as we can find out.
We
each
will
week.
finance his legal fees to get him back on the field in an expeditious matter.
Luckily for us, we offered that. Luckily, Georgia went ahead and hired an attorney for him. So Georgia said, okay, on the sports show, we got you. It would just look better if we did it. So we said, well, okay.
We're here if you need us.
We're here if you need us. We are here as character witnesses as well, because I mean, what other great person would come on and be the first ever guest on the All New Sports Show and be a bad person? We don't have bad people on here.
You know who else thinks he's a good person?
Who's that?
Jeff Craddock.
Oh, if Jeff Craddock likes somebody, by golly, I think that's a good sign. But here's hoping that this is resolved. It would be absolutely phenomenal to see Todd Gurley back on the football field for Georgia. I've got to say, I don't know how much I'd be willing to bet that it's going to happen.
You are going to see Todd Gurley on a football field again. It just might not be in an NCAA setting.
Yeah, you might have to go to Bank of America Stadium and see something like that happen. Or maybe Redskins Park something. But obviously we wish Todd all the absolute best. We're pulling for him. The All New Sports Show is 100% we are Gurley men.
Solidarity.
Free
Gurley.
That's right, Free Gurley. Hashtag Free Gurley. Put it up, folks. Sign the White House petition.
I did.
I did too. We signed the White House petition to free Todd Gurley. All right, so that is this week's Todd Gurley update. Ed, it's time for the play of the week.
It's hot. It's getting warm.
It's getting warm in here. It's getting chilly outside, so it's getting hot in here, folks. Nothing is better on a chilly October night.
Get a nice cup of coffee and a nice hot dinner.
There you go. And because they know how awesome that is, Krispy Kreme is once again the sponsor of the Hot Play of the Week. Lee, take it away. Hey, young man, he's done well tonight in his opportunities.
Certainly. Like the yellow shoes.
And Central, okay, not in the neutral zone. There goes Bynum. Bynum up the middle. Bynum cuts to the 40. Bynum gets a block. He's gone.
Hot play.
Nick Bynum.
Hotline is on.
Put 6 on the board, Griffon fans. That is a Rocky Mount touchdown.
You know, that probably should have been a penalty, and it doesn't matter.
62 yards the run from Nick Bynum. But the thing is, it should have been a penalty on Nash Central. Live with you, okay?
Okay.
Hey.
All right, man, that's good timing, isn't it, Ed?
Perfect.
Timing. Folks, you just saw the hot play of the week. That was Nick Bynum from, I believe, 60, I can't remember. 60 bunch yards out on his touchdown run. And folks, right now we're welcoming to the show. See, folks, we gotta set this up for you. At the end of the game the other night, with about 2 minutes left, the Lord decided it was time to water the garden. That was Nash Central's football stadium. So everything gully washed. Rocky Mount hit the buses as soon as the game was over. We didn't get a chance to talk to our Telco Credit Union player of the game. So he was kind enough to join us tonight on the hotline, and it is Forrest Bell, quarterback for the Rocky Mount Griffons. Forrest, welcome to the All New Sports Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Forrest, going into that ball game, you were probably not at the forefront of everybody's game plan, but some early interactions, maybe between Josh Carter and the Nash Central defense, led Jason Battle to insert you into the ball game. And Forrest, when you came in, the Griffon offense just seemed to hit their stride. you know, when you went into the game, what was the game plan at that point for you guys?
Well, before I went in, I kind of thought that our offense was a little out of sync, on our first couple drives. And when I went in, I just wanted to focus on, because our offense is up-tempo, just, get the line down quickly, get the call in. And, I think we're most effective when, we run our plays quickly. So that's what I tried to do, just get the line set and everyone ready to go.
And Forrest, talk a little bit about coming into the game and what you're thinking. I mean, it wasn't like you got told even during the day that you would be the starter. You come in right away and come in and make an immediate impact. What were your thoughts coming out onto the field?
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't expect to come in that early, but the game before that one, I think it was Triton. And we get these grades every week about our performances in the game. And I didn't make a very good grade on that game, and I admitted to Coach Battle that I was really nervous that game. But I went into this one, I just reminded myself I need to relax and have fun, and that's what I tried to do, and the result was a lot better.
Yeah, and you certainly were. You led them to the first touchdown drive and even put it in yourself. I mean, talk about what it's like to come out right off the bench and then score the first touchdown of the game for the Griffons.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. We needed a spark, and I felt like I was able to provide that. And it was even greater with our student section there going crazy. It was awesome.
Camouflage.
Those guys were definitely ready for action the other night. They were battle dressed and everything. Forrest, talk about getting to go play one of those crosstown rivalries. Nash Central kind of having a down season for those guys. But it's always a big game when you suit up with somebody who has the word Nash in their name.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a game with a lot of emotion. But the thing I can take away from this game is that we might want to keep our emotions a little more in check.
Bingo.
Because we had some personal fouls this game, and a few weeks back against Southwest, which is another rival, we had I don't know how many personal fouls that game. But yeah, we definitely need to work on that. But it's still fun to play in a rivalry game with a lot of emotion.
Forrest, if Wes ever gets sick again, or if I ever get sick again, please come on and be an analyst. That was fantastic. And also, we owe you a shirt the next time we see you. But congratulations on being our Telco Credit Union Player of the Game.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Thanks. Have a good night, buddy.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
So that's Forrest Bill, quarterback off out of the bullpen for the Griffons. Hey, we mentioned on the show he's a very good baseball player as well for Rocky Mount. So maybe coming out of the bullpen wasn't that big a problem.
The starter gets tossed after arguing balls and strikes in the second inning. Come on in.
There you go. Or gets put to right field because he can always come back in.
That's true.
That's what we'll do. Folks, we just got in touch. We do have a confirmation that Rocky Mount Griffon head coach Jason Battle is available for an interview. Tell you what, can we take a
Sure.
You want to take a 30?
Let's take a third commercial break, and we will be right back with Jason Battle on the line to wrap up the all-new sports show. Do stick with us.
The new place is perfect, or at least it will be, with a little help from Dex. In the book or at DexKnows.com. Dex can help you get results fast and deliver the best local advice so you can get it done right here, right now.
We should do this more often.
Dex, results for the here and now.
Good day, Eastern Carolina. It's Mike Keffer at Mike Keffer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on a 301 bypass between Rocky Mount and Wilson. I'm a truck driving man. The Great American Drive event is happening on all new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram trucks. It's hunting season. No better time to trade up to a new Ram, whether you prefer gas-sipping 6-cylinder, Hemi, Eco Diesel, or heavy-duty Rocky Mount-built Cummins diesel. Ram truck is the new dog on the hunt. Hunt one up in Rocky Mount at 855 by Keffer or online at mikekeffer.com.
And folks, welcome you back on the All New Sports Show brought to you by Roger G. Taylor and Associates. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get them or not. Didn't know if our schedules were going to collate. But, folks, we got the text about 5 minutes ago, and we now have live on the line Rocky Mount Griffon head football coach Jason Battle, victorious on Friday night, 42-0 over Nash Central. Coach, welcome to the All New Sports Show, and we're just going to start you off by saying big win over Nash Central. As you know, we all know it's always, if you're at Rocky Mount, always big to beat a team that has the word Nash in their name. But going over to Central on Friday night, it was a game, Coach, a year ago was a lot tighter than people thought. This year you would take the Griffons over to Nash Central and you take care of business.
Well, we did a much better job of being in a situation where we didn't let our emotions get too tied up into the game like we did last year and make a lot of mistakes. So and we did a much better job at times of executing.
And Coach, you know, a little bit of a rocky start to get to the game, some penalties, some turbulence, just a little bit though, and then Forspell comes on and really stabilized the offense. Talk about his contribution and the way the offense looked going forward.
Well, Forrest did a good job. I mean, you know, he's pretty calm kid all the time, level all the time, same type of person all day long. And, you know, he came in and did exactly what we needed him to do, was to get everybody calmed down and, you know, just focused on football. And he came in and, you know, the main thing is, as people always say, if you only have one quarterback, you don't have any. So we have two good kids back there.
Yes, you do.
Coach Battle, in the last, well, let's call it really what it is, about the last decade, Rocky Mount has been known as a school that the offense is going to come and the offense is going to put on a show for you. Coach, it really seems like this year, while your offense is very good, your defense at times is carrying this team. Their third shutout of the season. Let's just talk a little bit about that defense.
Well, the biggest difference between our defense this year and, you know, previous years is we have a lot more kids that are aggressive out there, and they do a better job of handling their assignment first. And, you know, they really, you know, they have a little swag about themselves and how they play. And you know, we had a kid transfer in, inside linebacker Reggie Johnson. I mean, he's just really giving us a boost.
And Coach, you're about out of the woods on this 5-game road trip in the middle of the season. Last game coming up Friday night at Hunt. 2-2 on the current road trip. How is your team looking going forward?
Well, I think we're starting to get a better handle on this road trip thing. We blew 2 big ones on the road, and, you know, right now I think we're back to having confidence in what we're doing, and we're executing in all 3 phases right now.
Coach, going forward, you know, your running game has really, really carried the water for you, and it hasn't just been one guy going forward. You know, the other night, B.J. Sanders, career high 13 carries. He has a big game. I mean, how do you determine who's going to be your hot hand of the night? Is it just kind of get into the game and see what happens, or do you kind of have an idea going in who you're going to be handing the ball to?
Actually, we don't really point anybody out in particular. We feel like we have a bunch of kids that can do, you know, different things, but they all gonna run the ball hard, and really it's just about who ends up back there with the ball in their hands. We feel like that, you know, we have a bunch of kids that do a lot of good things. Because, you know, we just ended up looking at the stats today and realizing that one of our better running backs, Terrell Forbes, only had 1 carry the other night. So, you know, it just happens that way sometimes.
Well, that's not a bad way to be able to live life when you've got that many options back there. Coach, want to congratulate you on starting Big East play at 1-0 this year. You sit at 5-2 overall. 4 tough ones coming up, but hey, if they're not hard, they're not fun. Jason, thank you for joining us here on the All New Sports Show this week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks,
Coach.
Coach.
We'll talk to you.
All right.
All right.
So that's Griffon head football coach Jason Battle taking some time out of his Sunday evening to talk to us.
Let's lay
man,
out
we got both of those we got both those interviews in right here at the end of the show.
Right
and now,
at
folks, we're going to give you a real quick update, preview coming up this week. Ed, you want to start with the 1A?
Sure. North Edgecombe is going to be taking on Riverside Martin at home. Of course, that is one of the maybe not as great teams, so a chance maybe for North Edgecombe to get out to a 2-0 start in conference play. Rocky Mount Prep, it doesn't get any easier for them as they travel to Tarboro this Friday night.
It never does. It never does. So Tarboro and Rocky Mount Prep, folks, taking a look at the 2A betting field. Going to be on the road heading to North Pitt. North Pitt, of course, a 51-21 loser to Southwest Edgecombe last week. We talked about on our broadcast of betting field the last time that they would start off with probably the two weaker teams in the Eastern Plains Conference. They got the job done against North Johnston. This week they head to North Pitt. By the way, good to see Kavaje Ellis on the field and just being Kavaje Ellis. Southwest Edgecombe, buddy, it's going to be a good one this week. They head down the Pamlico to Washington, preseason favorite in the conference. Washington holding a victory over Tarboro, which Southwest Edgecombe holds a loss from, but I believe this is a different Southwest Edgecombe team than you saw that lost to Tarboro earlier this season.
And in Big East 3A play, of course, we mentioned Pike suffering their first loss of the year. They will be hosting winless Nash Central. Hunt coming off their big win against Northern will be hosting Rocky Mount in another home game. And to top it off, Southern Nash, they just had a big win. That will be our high school football game of the week this Friday night at Death Valley, Northern Nash. Man, that is going to be a fun game.
A hot Southern Nash team against a desperate Northern Nash team, a desperate and capable Northern Nash team. That's the big thing. They're capable of doing great things. I cannot wait for Friday night. It is going to be a really good one. And we head, you said, to Death Valley.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Not a long drive.
Yep. No more trips to Bailey.
No more trips to Bailey. These are the important things here on the Sports Show. All right, folks. We're going to wrap it up for tonight.
Yep.
Let's put ourselves over one more time.
Sure. Twitter, at All New Sports Show. Twitter.
At Wes Bradshaw 21.
At Edward Green. Of course, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/allnewsportsshow, instagram.com/allnewsportsshow, youtube.com/theallnewsportsshow.
That's right.
Email us allnewsportsshow@gmail.com. Mail us your letters and parcels to 1701 Sunset Avenue, Suite 201, Rocky Mount, North Carolina 27804. Of course, check out our podcast on podbean.com, iTunes Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Just search for All New Sports Show.
And we're hoping to have some of the highlights of this show on the YouTube channel
As
this
well
week.
as this full episode.
That's right, this full episode, but also you'll get the play of the week, and hopefully we'll see if we can get our player interview and our coaches interview on there. All right, sounds good all around. Big thanks to all tonight's guests. Of course, Jimmy Lewis from the Wilson Times, Josh Wallfish from the Rocky Mount Telegram, calling in and talking to us, which we don't usually do. We try to get them live, but hey, these guys were awesome, called in. Forrest Bell, your Telco Credit Union player of the game from Rocky Mount, and of course, Rocky Mount Griffon head football coach Jason Battle. Woo! Ed,
fun time.
This was a fun one tonight, wasn't it? All right, folks.
Picks
we'll
return
be back
next week.
Next week, that's
We'll
right.
be
We'll
back
have our
next
picks
week,
back.
too.
We'll be back next week. That's right. No Wesleyan probably for another couple of weeks. Well, at least we'll be here next week. Just take our word at that, folks. All right, for Ed Green, for producer Dez, wherever he's disappeared to, for one name Lee.
Good old Director Lee.
I'm Wes Bradshaw. We'll see everybody back here next week on the All New Sports Show, brought to you by Roger G. Taylor and Associates on WHIG TV. Warren Pickleman.
I'm glad. We didn't have to fight Sunday Night Football.
Oh, but we did.
Sort of.
Because we care.
It's fine.
What you got? Oh, you want the clock. It was funny. Well, no, because after the touchdown, it's 41-0. Oh, no one cares about that. I thought you wanted the running clock. I might get that.
In 1832, a Dr. Alucard de Lave opened an insane asylum on his own private estate where he performed inhumane experiments on men, women, and children. The estate, its secrets, and the dead have been abandoned for over 150 years, until now.
The Dark Side Haunted Estates, North Carolina's #1 haunted attraction, is now open. And new this year is the Zombie Paintball Mayhem Hayride. For more information, go online to darksideHauntedEstates.com.
We'll be waiting for you.
Are you just starting out on your own and want to be independent? Do you have a family and need a bigger home? Are the kids moving out? And are you downsizing? First Carolina Realty can help. A 1 or 2 bedroom apartment or house for those starting out. A 3 or 4 bedroom home for a growing family. Rentals, sales, new homes, pre-owned homes, investment property in the city or in the country. Call First Carolina Realty. Now is a good time to make that move. Real estate prices are right, interest rates are low, and there is a fantastic selection of homes available.
First Carolina Realty is a fully licensed real estate firm with offices at 3151 Zebulon Road in Rocky Mount.
If you have rental properties and are tired of the headaches associated with managing them yourself, or if you're looking for a new management team to manage your rental properties, call First Carolina Realty at 252-985-2321. Visit our webpage at firstcarolinarealty.com. We will gladly help you with all your real